The extended version now contains 459 words, placing it perfectly within the 400 to 600 word target for the hook/opening incident. Here's your full section in simple, emotionally grounded language. Janine stood outside the embassy building, her hands trembling as she clutched a brown envelope. The Abuja heat pressed against her skin, but it wasn't the sun making her sweat, it was fear. That file in her hands held everything: her dreams, her sacrifices, her future. She had spent years preparing for this moment. Years of overnight shifts at the clinic, cleaning wards and caring for strangers. Years of skipping meals just to save a little more. Years of swallowing pride while others moved forward and she stayed behind. The embassy lobby buzzed with people. She kept rehearsing what she would say in her head. Every sentence memorized, every form checked 3 times. Her sister Rachel had said everything was perfect. "Don't worry," she'd told her. "I used my contact inside. They'll fast-track you. Just give them the file and smile." "Next," the voice called from the glass booth. Janine walked up, trying to hold herself together. She slid the envelope under the glass. The woman behind the desk barely looked at her before opening the file. Janine's heart pounded with every second that passed. Then something changed. The woman's brows pinched together as she scanned a page more closely. She flipped it, then flipped back. Her eyes sharpened. She looked up slowly. "Are you aware these documents have been altered?" Janine blinked. "Sorry." The woman tapped the letter. "Your acceptance letter has inconsistencies. And this bank statement, it shows signs of manipulation. This looks like forgery." "No," Janine whispered, her voice cracking. "No, that can't be. My sister helped me prepare. She said everything was real. She said she got them from her friend who works in processing." The officer's face hardened. "These are serious violations. I'm afraid this application will be flagged permanently." Janine stood frozen. The world spun. She forced herself to nod, took back the file, and turned away. Outside, the sun was blinding, but nothing could pierce the fog building in her chest. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone. Rachel picked up on the second ring. "Hey," she said casually. Janine's voice trembled. "Why would you do this to me?" A pause. Then a small, bitter laugh. "Come on, Janine. Always acting like you're better than us. The star child. Maybe it's time you stopped running to America and faced your life here. You lied to me. You trusted me," Rachel said. "That was your mistake." Janine felt something inside her break. Not just anger, grief. Not just at her ruined visa, but at the sister she thought she had, and the dream that now felt 1,000 miles away. She stared at the embassy building one last time, and quietly, she promised herself, this would not be the end. Are you happy with the tone and pacing of this first section? Let me know and I'll move straight into section 2, character backstory and present setup, 700 to 900 words. Janine grew up in a small town where everybody knew each other. She was always the quiet, thoughtful one, never caused trouble, never talked back. Her mother used to say, "Janine is an old soul." She liked to study, read, and help around the house. While other girls dreamed about weddings or money, Janine dreamed about becoming a nurse. She wanted to help people, especially after watching her mother fall sick and not get proper care. Her family life wasn't perfect. Her dad, once a proud police officer, changed after losing his job. He became cold and tired. He didn't hit them, but his silence hurt just as much. He had strong opinions and never liked being questioned. Janine learned to stay quiet, to avoid conflict. She tried to be the good daughter, but that made it harder when her mother died. Janine was just 16. Everything changed after that. Her older sister, Rachel, didn't stay long after the funeral. She moved out quickly, chasing business ideas, bouncing from one thing to another. She was bold, loud, and smart in a different way. Rachel knew how to get what she wanted. People liked her. Men listened to her. She always looked like she had it all together. Janine, left behind, had to care for their dad alone. She took on jobs, cleaning, nursing assistants, anything to bring in money. There were many nights Janine sat alone in the dark, wondering if this was her whole life. She was stuck. No support. No way out. But she kept her dream alive. Slowly, she saved enough to apply to nursing schools abroad. She told herself every day, "It will happen. Just don't stop." It wasn't easy. Some nights, she had no power. Some weeks, no proper food. She studied by candlelight, worked back-to-back shifts, and still made time to help her father. When the acceptance letter came from a small nursing school in Maryland, she cried. Not big, loud tears, but quiet ones, the kind you cry when you've been holding your breath for too long. She shared the news with Rachel. Even though they weren't close anymore, Janine still hoped her sister would be proud. Rachel showed up with food and gifts and acted like they were best friends again. "I have contacts at the embassy," Rachel said. "I can help you with the documents. Let me do it for you." Janine hesitated. Her gut told her to be careful, but it was her sister. Family. She handed her dreams into Rachel's hands. At the time, Janine lived in a small flat with an older woman named Auntie Kemi. She was like a second mother. She always made sure Janine ate, even when Janine said she wasn't hungry. She encouraged her to keep going, to apply to more programs, to never give up. The house wasn't much old fan, peeling paint and water issues, but it was warm and full of love. Janine's closest friend was Tasha. They met during nursing training at a government hospital. Tasha was funny, outspoken, and never afraid to speak her mind. But she had her own pain too. She'd applied for a visa 3 times and got denied each time. "They don't want people like us," she said once bitterly. But Janine didn't let those words get to her. She believed her story could be different. Now, sitting in that same room, Janine felt like everything was falling apart. The dream she'd worked so hard for was ruined. Her name was flagged. Her visa was marked. And it wasn't a stranger who had done this to her. It was her own blood. Rachel. She stared at the documents Rachel gave her, now knowing they were fake. The bank statements, the letters, all lies. She felt foolish, embarrassed, and deeply hurt. Not just because her visa was denied, but because someone she trusted had watched her fall and didn't stop it. She couldn't tell Auntie Kemi. Not yet. She didn't want to see the sadness in her eye. She didn't want to hear, "It'll be okay," when nothing felt okay. So Janine kept quiet, smiled when she needed to, pretended when people asked. But something inside her was starting to change. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was a quiet fire, the kind that doesn't burn fast but doesn't die either. A whisper in her chest that said, "You still have a choice. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with Section 3, Inciting Incident." 3 days after the embassy visit, Janine was still in shock. She hadn't left the house. She didn't eat much. She didn't answer calls. Even when Auntie Kemi knocked on her door to ask if she was okay, Janine just nodded and said she was tired. Inside, she felt broken. But one morning, something inside her clicked. She needed answers. She needed to know why Rachel had done it. Why would her own sister lie to her? Destroy her chances? Janine got dressed and walked to Rachel's house. It wasn't far, but the heat felt heavier than usual. Her heart pounded as she reached the gate. Rachel's car was parked outside. She knocked. Rachel opened the door with a smile that disappeared when she saw Janine's face. "We need to talk," Janine said. Rachel stepped aside, letting her in. The house was quiet, cool, and neat, completely different from Janine's small flat. "What's the problem now?" Rachel asked, walking toward the kitchen. "You lied to me," Janine said, her voice calm but shaking. "The documents. They were fake." Rachel sighed. "Oh, so you finally found out. You knew I trusted you," Janine said. "I believed in you." Rachel leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "You're so dramatic. It was just paperwork. You could have fixed it." Janine stared at her. "No. You gave me false papers. You made me look like a criminal. You think I wanted you to get arrested?" Rachel snapped. "I was just helping you move faster. People do it all the time." "No, you didn't want me to go. You wanted me to fail." Rachel paused. Her expression changed, softer then sharper. "Fine," she said quietly. "You want the truth? I was tired of watching you get everything handed to you. Mom loved you more. Dad always said you were smarter. People looked at me like I was the bad one. So yeah, I did it. I wanted you to stay." Janine couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her chest tightened. "I worked for that visa. I worked for years. You didn't take away a trip. You took away my future." Rachel's voice rose. "Oh, please, your future? You were running away. You think America will fix your life? You think you're better than us?" Janine stepped back. "I never said I was better. I just wanted something different." For a moment, there was silence. Rachel walked to the table and picked up a folder. "You want your real documents? The ones I didn't give you? Here." Janine's eyes widened. "What?" "I kept them," Rachel said, her voice low. "Just in case I changed my mind." Janine took the folder and opened it. There they were, her original acceptance letter, her real bank statement, her passport photo. Untouched. Clean. "You had this the whole time?" she asked, shaking. Rachel nodded. "Yeah. I didn't know if I wanted to help you or stop you." Janine couldn't hold it anymore. She slapped the table. "You had no right. No right to decide for me. I'm your sister." Rachel shouted. "You think I wanted you to go and leave me here with this broken family? With Dad, with everything?" Janine's hands were cold. Her head spun. But now she understood. Rachel wasn't just jealous. She was scared. Of being alone. Of being forgotten. "I would have helped you too," Janine said quietly. "I never wanted to leave you behind." Rachel turned away, wiping her eyes. But she didn't say sorry. Janine left the house, the folder in her hands. The real documents pressed against her chest. Her legs shook, but she walked. She didn't know what she would do next. The embassy had already flagged her. Her name was already stained. But now she had the truth. And for the first time in days, Janine didn't feel lost. She felt angry. And more than that, she felt ready to fight. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4, Rising Tension/Emotional Conflict. Janine sat alone in her room that night, holding the real documents in her hand. The ones Rachel had kept hidden. She placed them on the table and just stared. They were clean, complete, and true. If only she had submitted these, her life would have changed. But now it was too late. The embassy had already marked her name. The fake documents had already done their damage. Even if she brought the real ones now, it wouldn't matter. They wouldn't trust her again. That hurt more than anything. Auntie Kemi came into the room with a bowl of soup. "You haven't eaten all day." Janine looked up, eyes tired. "Thank you, Auntie." She placed the bowl down. "I know something's wrong. You're not yourself." Janine opened her mouth but hesitated. Then finally she spoke. "Rachel gave me fake papers. The embassy thinks I lied." Auntie Kemi sat down, shocked. "What?" Janine nodded slowly. "She kept the real ones, just because she didn't want me to leave." Auntie Kemi looked away, shaking her head. "Your own sister?" Janine nodded again. "Yes. She said I always got everything, that she was tired of being second." Auntie Kemi placed her hand on Janine's. "You've always been the one who gave up the most. I watched you. You didn't take from anyone. You just wanted a better life." Janine looked down. "Now I don't know what to do." Auntie Kemi stood. "Then it's time to decide. Will you let this break you? Or will you stand up and fight for yourself?" Janine didn't sleep that night. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was awake. She needed to fix things, but how? The next day, she went to the embassy again. She waited in line, then met with the officer at the help desk. "Please," she said. "I need to speak with someone. My case was flagged, but I have proof it wasn't me." The woman behind the counter barely looked up. "If your case has been flagged for fraud, it cannot be reopened. But the documents, I found the originals. My sister tricked me." The woman sighed. "You'll have to write a formal complaint, but it won't change the decision." Janine nodded slowly, holding back tears. She turned and left the building. Outside, she saw someone she recognized, a man who used to work with her father, Mr. Duncan. He had retired years ago, but once had strong ties in government. He looked surprised to see her. "Janine? You've grown." She smiled weakly. "Good to see you, sir." He studied her face. "You look troubled." She paused, then told him everything. Not the long version, just enough. He listened carefully, then asked, "Do you still have the real documents?" "Yes," she said quickly. "Send them to me," he said. "I'll see what I can do." No promises. It was a small hope, but Janine held on to it. Later that evening, she called Tasha. "I need to talk." They met at a quiet cafe. Tasha listened as Janine poured everything out. Every detail, every lie, every truth. "I don't even know who I'm angry at anymore," Janine said. "Rachel, the system, myself." Tasha leaned in. "You should be angry, but don't stay angry. Use it." Janine nodded slowly. But that wasn't the end. That same night, Rachel came to the house. Auntie Kemi opened the door and frowned. "You shouldn't be here." "I need to see her," Rachel said, stepping in. Janine stood in the doorway to her room, watching her sister. Rachel walked up. "You told people?" Janine said nothing. Rachel's voice rose. "You're painting me like a villain? After everything I've done for you." Janine stepped forward. "You didn't do it for me. You did it to feel powerful. You wanted control. You didn't care what it cost me." Rachel's face twisted with pain. "You think I had it easy? You think I wasn't hurting too? You didn't have to destroy me," Janine said, voice calm but sharp. Rachel was breathing hard. "So what now? You cut me off forever?" Janine didn't answer, but her silence said enough. Rachel turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. That night, Janine sat with Auntie Kemi in the kitchen. "Blood is not always family," Auntie said quietly. "You have a right to protect yourself." Janine nodded. For the first time, she believed it. The next few days were a storm. Mr. Duncan sent her a message. He'd spoken to a senior contact at the embassy. They would review her case, but it would be slow, and she would need to prove everything. Janine gathered everything: emails, messages, screenshots, her original document. She wrote a detailed statement about what happened. It took hours. She didn't stop until it was perfect. One evening, her father called. He hadn't spoken to her in weeks. "I heard about the visa," he said. Janine waited. "I also heard what your sister did." More silence. "I'm sorry," he said finally. It was the first time in years he said those words. "I should have protected you better," he added. Janine felt her throat close. She didn't speak, just listened. "She always needed attention," he said. "But you always kept going, even when no one saw." Tears rolled down Janine's cheeks. "Don't give up," he said. "You're stronger than all of us." Janine ended the call and sat in the dark. This time, not because of pain, but because of something new. Something that felt like healing. She didn't know what the embassy would say. But she knew one thing. She wouldn't wait in silence anymore. She would fight. And this time, no one would stop her. "Let me know." 3 weeks passed. Janine didn't hear anything from the embassy. Each day felt longer than the one before. She continued working at the clinic part-time and helped Auntie Kemi at home, but her heart was never in it. Every time her phone buzzed, she hoped it was news. It never was. Then one afternoon, she got an email. Her hands shook as she clicked it open. Subject: Case Review, Urgent Embassy Appointment Required. She read the message over and over. They had reviewed her appeal. They wanted to speak with her in person tomorrow. Her chest tightened. She didn't know if this was good or bad. But it was a chance. She printed everything again. Organized every paper, every screenshot. She didn't sleep much that night. At the embassy the next morning, she waited in the same lobby where it all started. The memory of that day, the rejection, the shame, flooded back, but she sat tall. She had nothing to hide this time. An officer called her name. She followed him into a private room. A different woman was waiting. She looked serious, but kind. Miss Ogden, the woman said. I've read your statement. Your case is unusual, but we've gone through the documents. Janine stayed quiet, her heart pounding. Why didn't you come with the original documents the first time? I trusted someone I shouldn't have, Janine said quietly. My sister gave me the fake one. She wanted to stop me from leaving. The officer studied her face. Do you have any proof? Janine opened her folder and handed over the messages, the photos, and the statement. After a long silence, the woman spoke. We contacted the school in Maryland. They confirmed your admission. We also confirmed the financial document. Everything checks out. Janine's breath caught. But, the officer continued, your record still has a fraud flag. Removing that is difficult. We can't undo it overnight. Janine's hope dimmed. The woman leaned forward. However, because of the clear evidence and your honesty, we're willing to give you a chance. You will be placed on a probation list. If nothing else goes wrong, and your final interview goes well, you'll get your visa. Janine blinked. She wasn't sure she'd heard correctly. You mean, I still have a chance? The officer nodded. It's not guaranteed, but it's real. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you. The next day, she went to see Rachel. Not to fight. Not to yell. To finish it. Rachel opened the door slowly. Her eyes looked tired. Janine walked in without waiting for an invite. She sat down. Rachel sat across from her, arms crossed. I went to the embassy, Janine said. Rachel didn't reply. They're giving me a second chance. They saw the real documents. They believed me. Rachel looked away. Good for you. Janine stared at her. I'm not here for your support. I'm here to tell you something. Rachel's jaw tightened. You tried to break me, Janine said. But you didn't. You made me stronger. You made me speak up. I never wanted to fight anyone, but you forced me to. Rachel's voice was low. I didn't mean to ruin your life. But you did, Janine replied. And I have to live with that. But I won't let it define me. Rachel blinked, tears filling her eyes. I was scared, Janine. I felt like I was losing everything. You were leaving. And I was stuck. You didn't have to hurt me to protect yourself, Janine said. You could have come with me. You could have asked for help. Rachel looked down. I didn't know how. There was silence between them. I'm not your enemy, Janine said softly. But I won't let you be my roadblock either. Rachel nodded slowly. I'm sorry. Janine stood up. I hope you mean that. She walked to the door, then stopped. I still love you, she said. But I don't trust you. That will take time. Rachel didn't speak. She just nodded again. Janine left the house, head high. Outside, the sun was bright. The world felt big again. She didn't. 2 weeks later, Janine stood in line outside the embassy again. This time, her heart still raced, but not from fear. She was ready. Dressed in a clean white blouse and holding her folder close, she felt different now, stronger, more certain. When her name was called, she walked into the room with steady steps. The final interview officer greeted her politely. They reviewed her papers, asked about her plans in Maryland, her goals in nursing, and her reasons for wanting to study abroad. Janine answered every question with honesty. No hesitation. No fear. When it was over, the officer smiled and said, You'll receive an email in a few days. Good luck. As she left the building, she didn't cry. She didn't smile either. She just breathed. For the first time in months, she felt like herself again. That night, she sat with Auntie Kemi, who had prepared her favorite soup. They ate in silence at first. Then Janine said, I think I've finally let go. Auntie Kemi looked at her gently. Of what? The anger. The shame. I think I've forgiven Rachel. Not for her, but for me. That's the beginning of healing, Auntie said. You've come a long way. Later, Tasha called to check on her. Did it go well? I think so, Janine said. They didn't say yes yet, but I feel good. Tasha laughed. I've never met anyone who kept believing like, you're teaching me something. Janine smiled. We can't control people, but we can choose who we become after they hurt us. 3 days later, the email arrived. Visa approved. Janine stared at the screen for a long time. Then, without warning, she laughed loud, full and free. The tears came too, but they weren't sad tears. They were relief. Victory. Peace. She shared the news with Auntie Kemi and Tasha. They hugged her tightly. Even her father called and said, I'm proud of you, Janine. Those words felt like a bandage on an old wound. Rachel didn't call, but Janine didn't expect her to. Some wounds take time. Some people never change. And that's okay. The day of her flight, Janine stood at the airport with one small suitcase. She didn't have much, but she had enough. Her documents were safe, her mind clear, her heart open. Before boarding, she sent one final message to Rachel. I forgive you. I hope you heal too. No reply came, but Janine didn't need one. As the plane lifted into the sky, Janine looked out the window. She was no longer the girl who kept silent. She was no longer the girl who let others decide for her. She was her own person now, ready to begin again. The sky outside the plane window was wide and endless. Janine watched the clouds move beneath her, soft like cotton. Her hand rested on her bag, the only luggage she carried. But she knew what she brought with her was more than clothes or documents. She brought every lesson, every tear, every night she wanted to give up but didn't. She thought about her mother and how proud she would have been. About her father's quiet, I'm proud of you. About Tasha's words, you taught me something. And she thought about Rachel. Even after everything, there was still a small part of Janine that hoped her sister would change. That one day, she would understand what she did and why it mattered. But Janine also knew she couldn't wait for that day. She had her own life now, her own future. When the plane touched down in Maryland, Janine closed her eyes for a moment. This wasn't just a new country. It was a new beginning. She walked through the airport slowly, soaking in every sound, every face, every sign. The world felt bigger than ever, and for once, she didn't feel small inside it. Later that night, alone in her small dorm room, Janine unpacked. She placed her photo of her mother on the desk, smoothed the edges of her acceptance letter, and sat by the window. It was quiet, but this time, the quiet didn't feel heavy. It felt full of possibilities, of freedom, of the kind of peace that comes when you've fought for yourself and finally won. Janine smiled. She wasn't just starting over. She was starting as herself. Whole, brave, and unbreakable. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching till the end. If Janine's story moved you, don't forget to like, share, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more powerful, drama-filled stories. And guess what? Up next, her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip. She booked one seat beside. You don't want to miss what happens next. See you there. Bye.